Hi, I'm Peter Strohkorb. I'm the proprietor of Peter Strohkorb Advisory. I'm an international sales acceleration specialist advisor. What does that mean? Well, I help organizations like yours and people like you to sell more faster. And to just show you what that means, I'll just share my screen here with you. I'll just have a look. Right down the bottom here, there's a couple of US CEOs who were kind enough to put into words the work that we did together and the outcomes that we achieved together. So I accelerate sales. The subject of today's talk is opening is the new closing. And what does that mean? Well, we're going to talk to you about how selling has changed, how you can adjust to that, and what you need to do to be able to engage with a prospect right from the very beginning, right from the very start. And I'm going to hopefully, maybe slaughter a few sacred cows. But first, let's talk about the pandemic. So it's brought about change, but it's also an opportunity for change in the sense that while channels to market are limited, we have now an opportunity to better and more deeply engage through other means with our prospects. Unfortunately, it also means that because prospects are taking longer making buying decisions, your sales cycles will probably lengthen. But you can combat that by helping your prospects to get fast ROI because they're not really in a mood for long, drawn out returns on the investment, 3, 4, 5 years. They want quick returns on their investment. So fast ROI is something that you can help them with. And in order to get them to understand how they can benefit buying from you, you need to use your logic, your rationale, as well as your emotion and your empathy to lead to success. So IQ alone and the business case alone won't cut it anymore. You'll really need to do something for your prospects individually. And what customers now expect from sellers is that you empathize with them. You are aware of their situation, the fact that they don't just have business on their mind, they have personal, family, health issues and concerns. They have trouble balancing work and life. And so they've got a head full of things that they think about, and they don't really need to be ambushed with some unsolicited sales pitch anymore. So what they're saying is, don't sell to me, but it's okay if you want to challenge my thinking because I want to know what I don't know. And if you're a subject matter expert and can help me to understand what I don't know, then that's good for me. So bring it, engage with me, but don't pitch slap me and don't ambush me. So for sellers, this means that buyers no longer want to be sold to, and I've in the past argued that they never really have enjoyed that anyway, and that always be closing, the old ABC slogan, has run its course, it's dead, don't use it anymore. And sellers want now to sell smarter and not harder. So we need to lead with customer engagement, not with lead gen. It's no longer about lead quantity, it is now solely about lead quality, having a positive engagement with a important decision maker, senior person that who we can engage with and can draw them into a conversation and keep them there, fend off our competitors, win the deal, and get their repeat business as well. So opening is now super important, and opening is kind of like the new closing. So you should always be opening in a sense rather than always be closing, right? So what's the recipe for success then? Well, it is about shifting from a product or services focus, if you're still there, to now a customer focus, and then even maybe to a customer centricity, and some people would say customer obsession focus. And in order to do that, we need to slaughter some sacred cows. So here's one. So the old traditional sales funnel is dead, D-E-A-D, dead. And I'll tell you why. If you look at it, it talks about leading, putting new prospects and leads into the top, engaging them, nurturing them, handing them over to sales to advance the deal and close the deal, and ka-chink, money comes out. My question to you is, how much is that about the customer? 0. It's all about how we want to sell. It's an inward-looking sales process. It helps us to manage a process that we want to control, but it has zero to do with the customer. Plus, it's very generic and it's old. It wasn't invented in 1998. It was invented in 1898. We've been dealing with this thing for 120 years now. It's dead. Forget it. Instead, what we need to do is to turn around and say, what does our selling process look like actually from the customer's perspective, and how can we tie in with that buying process that the customer has, and how can we help our customers to make an informed buying decision to buy from us. That last bit is important, of course, to buy from us. So it needs to be modern. It needs to be right for selling in the 2020s. It needs to be focused on the customer and on the buyer. It needs to help us accelerate our sale and get more sales faster. It needs to be less leaky, so more of our leads and prospects come through it and end up as deals, and we don't have too many trickling through the holes in the funnel. In order to do that, I have created a 10-point buyer-focused sales funnel. And the 10 points are there to draw a buyer into our sphere, to draw them into a conversation, to keep them there, to win their business, and to get them as a repeat customer. So if you want to know what the 10 points look like, then here they are. The first thing, imagine a customer has never heard of us, and we want them to become engaged in us, become interested. The first thing they want to know is, what is it like doing business with these people? So we need to have a brand promise, and we need to make it tangible. It can't just be, oh, we really care about our customers, or some motherhood statement like that. It needs to be tangible. So for example, one of my clients who runs an IT business in Australia, we came up with a tagline for him of, we've got your back. And that means that even when we do things in the background for you, keep your system safe, keep you backed up, and keep you operating, we've got your back. But also, if something goes wrong, we won't be pointing the finger at somebody else. We won't be running away. We won't be making excuses. The dog ate our homework. What we will do is we will be side by side with you, shoulder to shoulder, and we will fix the problem, and we will be on your side. So that is an authentic brand promise that any customer will understand right away. Next is, please be really clear on what you're selling. It's amazing to me how we can be clear ourselves about what we're selling, but our customers still are confused and they go, oh, I'm not quite sure. And as the saying goes, a confused mind says no. Don't confuse your customers. Be very clear about what you're selling. Number 3 is probably the most important part of the new selling and the new opening as well. Because if you can clearly articulate how your business is different and preferably superior to your competitor's business, then the buyer will understand why they need to buy from you and nobody else. So you need to have a very strong and clear value proposition and unique selling proposition, but you also need to have a killer opening line. So this is where openings, the new closing comes in the sense that the buyer will give you, from a cold call, from a cold outreach, will give you 10, 15, 30 seconds before they decide whether they want to spend more time with you or not. So in those 10, 15 or 30 seconds, you need to make your point. You need to engage with them. You need to grab their attention. You need to make them lean forward and say, wow, that's really interesting. Tell me more about that. At that very moment, when they say, tell me more, that's when they've given you the explicit permission to sell to them. And then you can talk about what to do and how you do it and all your other customers and what you've done for them and the outcomes you've achieved and so on, because they have given you their permission to sell. So the opening is the new closing. The opening will get you there where they go, tell me more, not the closing. So you got to create what I call a lean forward moment where they go, how does it work for my business? Tell me more about that. Oh, that's really interesting, and so on. That was number 3. Now, number 4 is who are ideal customers. Be very clear about who your ideal prospects are and who they're not, because then you can focus on the right ones, right? So what industry do they belong to? What size business are we talking about? What are the job titles of the individuals you want to talk to? what geography are they in, and what else interests them in terms of what they consume or what hobbies they have or what interests they have, so that you can tie into them and engage with them at a more interpersonal and more meaningful level. So who are ideal prospects and customers? And then, of course, once we know who they are, we need to understand where they are, because we want to find them, we want to reach out to them, we want to engage them, which brings us to point 6, which is how do we engage with them? How do we access them first? How do we get to them? And then how do we engage with them? Because, you might get to a big fish, but then how do you hook them, and how do you catch them, and how do you draw them in? So we need to have our USP polished up, and we need to have a killer introduction line ready to go to get them to lean forward and say, tell me more. So use your great value proposition, your unique selling proposition from point 3 to engage and access your ideal prospects where you can find them. So then I mentioned, how do we eliminate our competitors? And again, there's an opening line, not a closing line, that you can use to proactively bring up a subject that your competitors will feel uncomfortable talking about. Again, you proactively bring up a subject matter that your competitors will feel uncomfortable talking about. And because you bring it up, it makes your prospect wonder, why didn't they bring that up? That's really interesting. And I should know about this. And it's really good that you're telling me, because that means I can put you in my sphere of trust, and you can become a trusted advisor and a partner in this, and not an adversary. So how can we eliminate our competitors in the process? And how can we use the sales proposal process, not the content? The content is very important, don't get me wrong, but how can we use our sales proposal process to win more deals? And I teach my clients a particular technique that helps them get an unfair advantage when they submit their proposal to win the deal. And if you saw Corey Viverka's testimonial right at the beginning of this presentation, that's exactly what he did with one of my first tips. He won a multi-million-dollar deal just with this point 8. Point 9 is, how do we create such a good customer experience pre, during, and post-sale that our customers will not even go anywhere else. They will come back to us for more repeat business, because they're getting such a great experience from us that they feel it's risky to go anywhere else. So how can we give them a customer experience that makes them come back time and time again? And leading on from that, how can we turn them into not just repeat customers, but also into advocates? How can we get them to go out and tell all their friends and contacts and network about how great it is to do business with us, and recommend us to these people as well? So they don't bring us only repeat business, but they also bring us referral business. They bring us more business. So those are the 10 points in the buyer-focused sales funnel. Now, the future is in your hands. If you want to find out how your current sales process and your current sales funnel stacks up against the new buyer-focused sales funnel, you can do that for free in just 5 minutes by going to this URL there on the website. It is peterstrohkorb.com/sales-acceleration. For free, in about 5 minutes, it'll tell you where you still have some gaps to fill and where you may already be doing all right. Plus, there's a bit of a surprise offer there for you as well. So just have a look at that, because it'll be worth your while. Now, if you want to know more about me and you want to hear more from me, then have a look at my next webinar on Bright Talk. There's the registration link down the bottom. It's called Sales Acceleration Techniques You Can Use Right Now. So it's on May the 12th. Go to Bright Talk, register yourself. It's a free webinar. And with that, I thank you for your attention. Please do feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on my email, on my website. And I do implore you, go to peterstrohkorb.com/sales-acceleration and do the free sales acceleration self-assessment, which takes you in about 5 or 10 minutes, but it'll be eye-opening for you. I really recommend you do it. And reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to get in touch. I'd love to answer your questions. I'd love to help you sell more faster. With that, I'm Peter Strohkorb. Have a great day. Bye.